everybody, it's Gretchen, and tonight I'm going to talk to you about a topic that's important to me. It's about active versus inactive listening. And you may be wondering, what exactly is active listening versus the inactive? Well, active listening is hearing what the person, your presentation, the person giving the speech, what they're talking about. Inactive is you're actually hearing them. You're not just listening, kind of looking around like this is boring, I don't want to be here. You're giving the speaker your full attention so they know that you are possibly interested in this subject. It's something that you want to know about. So that is what active listening is. It's kind of letting all the distractions, everything, just kind of letting it go, and you're focusing on the person that is speaking. It's important to be an active listener because it helps to educate and enlighten you. I work in a carbide cutting tool company, and we have business meetings where we learn about new tools, we learn about the pricing of those tools, but it's interesting to know what our tools are used in and what they're used for. Some of our tools are used in aerospace, they're used in the manufacturers of guns. We don't make guns, we just give you the tools that possibly could make that purchase. So it's just interesting to know, where our stuff goes. And I like to go to those kinds of meetings so I know what is happening. So it's educating me and enlightening me as to what our product is used for. When I first started at this company, I would never have thought half of our stuff goes to where it does. And it's very interesting to know. So being an active listener is an important factor in personal and professional. So I just explained the professional part of it. Personal would be, say your friend has a problem that they wanted to talk to you about, or that they just needed to talk about and get it off their chest. So you need to actually listen to what they're saying, maybe not add in any commentary, just kind of listen to what they have to say. Say, oh, okay, and how does that make you feel? What were you thinking? That kind of stuff. You don't want to interrupt them. So you just want to listen and hear what they have to say, not just adding in your 2 cents. So, but being an active listener, it helps you to be in the know. So like I said about the company that I work for, it lets me know what we are using our product for. And it's good to let other people know what we're using that product for. So active listening is making sure that your audience understands what you're talking about. So like I said, when I first started here, I didn't know anything about our tools. And there's some things that I still don't know, and I've been there for almost 5 years. You need to not necessarily dumb it down, but you need to make it so your audience understands what you're talking about. We could talk about a tolerance of a tool, and I tell people, it's plus 1/10 plus 3/10. Well, what does that mean? You need to kind of break it down for your audience so they understand what you're talking about, and you're not just talking, a foreign language to them. Second of all, let the speaker know as you're listening that you are understanding what they're talking about. If they say something that you agree with, nod your head, yes, okay, or a thumbs up. Something that lets them know you're listening and hearing what they have to say, and that you don't necessarily have to agree with it, if you don't agree with it, but at least let your speaker know that you're hearing them. You're listening to what they have to say. And also being an active listener lets your speaker explore their feelings. Maybe it's something that they're very passionate about. And like I said, this would be probably on a more personal level. Your friend is having an issue with maybe a loved one, or, a personal issue that they are just getting all wound up about. It's something that they need to get off their chest. So you, as their friend or as a good listener, would allow them to just blow up and let them have their moment, and get it all off their chests. You don't want to keep that all bottled up. You want them to be allowed to explore their emotions. You don't want them to keep it all bottled up and possibly, explode on somebody else. So the techniques for being a good listener is stating that the speaker was talking about in your own words. So you want to kind of paraphrase. You don't want to give your, I guess as you're maybe reverberating back to your speaker, you don't want to use like their exact words. Hey, so you were talking about this tool. So what exactly do you talk about? What does it mean on a flute length? What does it mean on this or that? Or, if you're talking to a friend on a personal level. So what did he or she, mean? What do you think they meant? Just make it so they understand it. You want to ask questions. So me being an active listener and not maybe understanding the work related, what does this mean? And kind of raise your hand or wait for them to ask. Do you have any questions? You want to ask, maybe write down a list. Let your speaker know that you're listening to them, and maybe as they're speaking, if there's something that you don't understand or you want to talk to them further about, write it down. I always have a notebook whenever I go into any meetings, just in case there's a question I need to ask. If there's pertinent information that I need to know for later on down the road, if there's no handouts that the speaker has given to us, I need to know this information, so I'll jot it down. And if there's questions that I have at the end, I will ask the questions. But you just want to make sure that your speaker knows that you're listening to them. So then, that's being a good active listener. Being an inactive listener is being distracted, so I'm at home, and I'm giving this speech to you right now, and my cat's sitting over there. I just want to pet him. I want to go over there, and just give him all sorts of love. But I need to focus on what I'm doing. And being a bad listener or an inactive listener, I would get distracted by things. Oh, hey, here's a catalog, let me look through this instead of focusing on what I need to focus on. With inactive listening, you're listening, but you're not focusing. So you're distracted. You are off in la la land thinking about something else, just kind of looking around. That not necessarily is rude, but it lets your speaker know that you're not really listening, that they're kind of wasting their time in front of you. So that is just one of the things that, you do as an inactive listener. I know I've done it many times. I've done it in class. I've done it to, friends as they're talking to me. You just kind of like zone out and you're not really listening to what they have to say. There are different barriers that were defined in one of my books that I read, that the barriers are, you're preoccupied or you're distracted. So you're thinking about something else, I have to make dinner tonight. What am I going to make for dinner? Oh, I have an assignment due. You're not hearing what the person is talking about. You're in a loud or noisy area. So say you're trying to have a conversation with your friend and you're in a restaurant or at a concert, which is probably not the best place to have a conversation that you need to listen to them. So you need to be in a quiet area, a controlled area. So that way, there's no loud noises, there's no other distractions. You are able to focus on what you need to focus on. So personal mindset. You already have it in your mind that you are going to disagree with them. Maybe it's something political that you don't agree with and you're being forced to sit through this. You already have that mindset that you're not going to agree, that you don't care, you don't want to listen to what this person has to say. So you have already zoned out. Interrupting the speaker. So if the speaker is, trying to get their point across and you're like, well, wait, but no, hey, you're constantly stopping them, you are being rude and you need to let them finish their thought, raise your hand, be considerate and be courteous, and let them finish what they have to say before you just burst in on them. Lastly would be your physical state. So say you're drunk, under the influence of something, then you are not, yet again, kind of in the right mindset to focus on what that speaker has to say. Maybe you're tired. You are fighting to stay awake, you're touch and goes, you're falling asleep. There are just many different distractions, playing with your phone when you should be listening. Oh yeah, I'm listening, You want to be a courteous listener, you want to be an active listener. You want to hear what they have to say, and you want to make sure that your speaker knows that you understand. Usually a speaker will ask, does anybody have any questions or something you don't understand? Let me know. That would be a good that's a good presentation person, but that's you being a good active listener would also, raise your hand if you had those questions or you had further comments. So that is my speech tonight on active versus inactive listening. I hope you found it as entertaining and as educational as I hoped it would be. I think it's something that's very important, either in your personal or your professional life, that you need to be a good listener. There are those times, half the time when my child is talking to me, he will ask me silly questions and I'm just tuning him out. I'm not even listening. We're driving. I'm listening to music. He's asking me, what would you rather? He would ask me if I'd rather eat a spider or eat a scorpion. I said I'd rather starve. And he said that's not an option. So I am halfway listening, but not really. I just want to listen to my song. There are times when you can be that inactive listener. A good parent knows this. It's called preferential listening. It's whenever it's convenient. But if you ever have any questions, please let me know. I hope this is something that was helpful for you, and I thought it was very interesting to learn about this kind of stuff. Thank you.